Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Real Producers DFW Real Estate's Best Live. I'm going to be here today with the co-host or host. I'm usually the co-host, but Rachelle Marie, she'll be on in just a minute. First, I wanted to thank everybody for watching. This is about the sixth episode, I believe, after we rebranded what Jordan had been doing for so long. And really excited about all the people that tune in and watch. The guests have been phenomenal, and we're going to have some more great ones today. The Real Producers crew does a great job of meeting, connecting, and bringing to the forefront all these really incredible people that are in the real estate industry. Before we get started, I did want to just take a minute and talk about the difference in what we do here. We started this about 18 months ago as a video branding program for small businesses, entrepreneurs, folks in the real estate industry. And through last year, we had over 300 shows that we produced, and we had a little over 600,000 viewers. Now, when you put that into context, many celebrities get 600,000 views on one simple little post. So we're not bragging that big, but for what we've done and where we started and what we're doing for the small businesses and bringing brand awareness for them into their communities, we're really excited about that and what we're doing with all the shows. So if you're a small business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're in the real estate business and you're looking to get some brand awareness, create something that helps you stay top of mind and something that can help you really connect and open some doors for you within your industry and outside of your industry. Video branding is one of the best ways that you can do that. So that's a little bit about the difference and a little bit about me. I'm going to bring in the co-host, which this is your second show, right, Rachelle?
This is my second show. You're right.
Okay, so everybody needs to know that she did this last month. And she was a little nervous, and she just killed it. It was unbelievable. And for those that may have missed that show, I encourage you to go back and watch it because Rachelle is a natural. She's so good. But let me tell you why she's so good. And this is why we call the network and the shows that we do the difference. The difference for Rachelle, the difference for Jordan, the difference for Lance is just your authenticity, your sincerity, and the fact that you truly are interested in learning about the people that you're sitting in front of. You're in the moment, and that comes out. And, you know, we talk so much on our shows about being relational versus transactional. And you can't be relational if you really don't care to get to know the person that you're talking to, right?
Right.
And you guys you're masters of that. And it's really fun to work with you because that's what the difference is all about. Is to help us, especially the small business owner and the independent contractors, is to really understand how we need to be connecting with those like us so that we can expand our footprint, we can expand our sphere and get more people to know us and understand us and like us. So,
well, I'll tell you one thing my grandpa would say to me growing up, Lyndon. He'd say to me, Rachelle, you ask me more questions than all the grandchildren combined. And I had quite a few cousins, 18, somewhere up there. But just naturally from a young age, I loved to find out what makes people tick, hear from their expertise, hear their stories. And so certainly, like you said, Lyndon, it's definitely something that has just come natural. And I tell people all the time that I get the privilege weekly with real producers meeting with the best of the best in the real estate industry, hearing their stories, connecting with them, just hearing the keys to their success. And it's just amazing weekly doing that with those agents in DFW, the top 1% to 2% in these top businesses. And as you know, Lyndon, who we have on the show today, certainly is no exception.
Right.
Connecting with both of them and excited to bring them on in a moment.
Okay. Well, before we do, I do want you to, for anybody that's watching for the first time, I want you to just talk a little bit about what Real Producers is all about and just share a little bit about that and how you got started with them.
Sure. Oh, man. Well, how I got started with Real Producers was actually through a top agent here in North DFW. She knew Jordan Espeseth, who, for those of you that don't know that are watching, he's the owner and publisher of Dallas North DFW and Tarrant Real Producers. We have 3 territories here in the DFW where we are just connecting the best of the best in the real estate world, both agents and businesses, those in that top 1% to 2%. It isn't a popularity contest group. Those who have been a part have been vetted, and we're just all about community. Everything we do, from the magazine to the exclusive events that we throw, to the podcast, to our closed Facebook group, I could go on, but everything is about connecting that top 1% to 2%. Like you said, Lendon, it's so important to have community with those in that same caliber as yourself, going the same direction, the same pace. And so that's what we're here. We're about people connecting for friendship purposes, masterminding, collaborating, and just taking everyone's business to the next level. And specifically for our podcast that's on every Wednesday, 11 a.m. to around 12, which we call DFW's Real Estate Best. Yes, that is for those in the community in that top 1% to 2%. But through the podcast, Lendon, we're also inviting those that are outside of the community, those that are aspiring to be a top real estate agent, those that are aspiring to be a top business, or those just in the field wanting to get to know the community. And so that is us in a nutshell.
Awesome. Great job of explaining that. So, well, I guess it's time now, if you're ready, to bring on these fantastic people that you've got.
Yeah. Well, let's start with Lauren.
Okay, let's get Lauren on here.
Yeah, Lauren Rockwell. She is a Dallas top 500 agent and with Compass. And interesting, Lendon, I don't know if you know this, but we actually featured her a couple years back as a rising star in one of our Dallas Real Producers magazines. So we love Lauren and super excited to have you on the show. You are just about 5 years in. So truly a rising star. Those we classify as someone 2, 4, 5 years in, and things are just skyrocketing, which certainly is true for you, Lauren. And in fact, you are growing a bit. You've just invited someone on your team. Why don't you tell us who that is?
I did. So I've been wanting to grow for a while now, and I knew I had to have the perfect person that would treat my clients well and with integrity and passion. And so my little sister just joined me, and she's a full licensed agent, and we are so excited.
That's awesome. You know, what's interesting is I meet with top agents weekly. There are a bunch that are working with their family. You know, I think of Lori McGuire. Her husband is a part of her team, her daughter. I also think of the Barker Parker team, a mother and daughter, Stacy Sauer with her daughter, a part of her team. So many. And before we bring on our next guest, which I'm going to have you introduce, Lauren, what are some nuggets working with family there?
So I actually love it. We are again, sisters are always very real with one another, right? So no passive aggressiveness. If I can work on something and do something better, I know my sister's going to tell me, and the same with her. And we've always been big about making each other better. And so I'm just so grateful to have someone who I know will tell me like it is, but also give me encouragement and be my biggest cheerleader. And I'm excited to do the same for her.
That's awesome. Yeah, people are either on one end or this other end of the spectrum. Family. It's either like, no way, or it's like, oh, this is awesome. And so I certainly hear with fellow top agents saying it works well. And I'm sure one of those reasons is the you can be totally upfront with your family member there. They know you. And so anyway, another person that knows you well and you know them well is actually a group that I hear of from other top agents like yourself saying they are amazing. And I'm going to let you introduce one of the men at the helm there joining us on the podcast today.
Absolutely. Well, I'm excited to introduce Dan Carson, who's the Senior VP with WIllow Mortgage. He is a great lender partner of mine and someone I'm very blessed to know.
Awesome. Yeah. Dan is a great RP vetted business, a part of Real Producers. Now, I know you both are very relational people, and you guys are the ones that people want to like connect with at the party or at the event. Like Dan and Lauren are awesome. So those of you a part of the community, look for them at our events. But I know you're also a firm believer. I remember you sharing this with me, Dan, that you are the company you keep. So what made sense about this partnership with you guys?
Well, Lauren and I met kind of in a unusual situation for an agent and a lender to meet with each other. We were actually in a partnership with another kind of group of media. It was a media company essentially that was setting up top agents with lenders or with us as a lender for a internet TV show. And Lauren and I had never done a deal together. We had never been on either side of a transaction with each other. And we just because like what you said, we're relational people. We made a pretty immediate connection. We started talking about business. We gave each other opportunities to work with one another. And since then, our relationship has taken off. We've become good personal friends. I'm friends with her husband. She's friends with my wife. And so we've got a great relationship because in our business, the partnership matters not only for each other and how much time that we spend with each other on a work basis, but also for our clients and the other partners that's around us. When there's familiarity in every transaction, it just makes life so much better.
Right. What are your thoughts, Lauren?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I would say that's the biggest thing that connected Dan right away. Two was we connected not only just that we run our businesses relationally, but just our values in life in general. And so it just makes the world of a difference when you trust your partners that you work together. And when your clients trust you, you have to make sure you're referring them to great people. And so I'm so blessed that we have that with one another and we trust each other. And it's been great so far. I mean, I was trying to think about how many deals we've done together and I honestly lost track. So it's been great.
That's great. That's awesome. And I certainly, a little bit later on, I want to jump into some of those key values, because I certainly heard that from both of you. And I see, how that's led to your success today, both of you being in that top 1% to 2% in DFW's real estate here. But what I both found interesting about both of your stories of how you got into, the business where you are today is you both were challenged by someone in your life challenging you to do something different. And that's led to both of where you are today. Lauren, I want to start with you. You found yourself in an unhappy place. Tell us about that and what the challenge was that person gave you.
Yeah, so I was teaching and I absolutely loved my job, but very early on realized I do not like being a rule enforcer. And so I was just kind of praying about what my next step would be. And my husband, who's always been my biggest cheerleader, which is how it's supposed to be, right? Just really challenged me. He said, you love people, you love relationships, like you need to find a job where you can work with your people. And I think I started real late, when I was 23 years old. So starting as a 23-year-old, it was very interesting, to say the least, just saying, hey, I'm 23 years old. Who wants to buy a house from me? Just got my license. So it has just been such a great ride, just working so hard at what I've been given, and just to see it grow has just been amazing. And my husband was absolutely right. I just find so much joy and passion working with people, and just how relationally based real estate is.
Yeah. I remember you sharing that you had just got engaged to your husband and all these life changes and about to happen, and he just saw how unhappy you were and was like, you need to change. And I love it. And just, you have to share what movie it was that inspired you. I'm sure there's some other people watching that perhaps have heard of this movie. I certainly love this movie. Yeah.
So I, again, was just kind of praying about what the next step is. I knew I was going to finish the school year. I committed to it, and I committed to something. I'm going to follow it through. So I was watching the movie War Room. It's a Christian-based film.
Have you seen it, Dan? Have you seen it, Dan?
No, I have not.
Oh, right. Maybe some other people watching have. Yeah, you need to watch it.
Yeah, it's great. And the main character is a real estate agent. And that's when it dawned on me how relationally based this job was. Everyone likes showing pretty houses, looking at pretty houses. But it just dawned on me that this job is so much more. And I'm a contract nerd, so I love the contract part of it too. But yep, check out War Room if you haven't. It's a great movie.
Yeah, I love it. I don't think I've spoken to a top agent who said that particularly a movie inspired them. But when you mentioned that, I was like, oh yeah, the main character was a real estate agent. And
Yeah.
Certainly you see it there. You have to have a lot of love for people and be relational, like you're talking about. And talk about that step of faith though, because there was a time where you were doing more so the real estate part-time. But then, like you said, you had to take a leap of faith to go full time.
Absolutely. So I was working at my company in the main office and then doing real estate on the side. And it got to where I was working, probably like 75, 80 hours. And I was a newlywed with my husband. I think we were about a year in, and I was struggling to spend time with him. And so I think I did quite a bit of leases at this point a year in, but had 3 sales. And I was very nervous about taking the leap of faith. But my business jumped tremendously that year, and the Lord was just very faithful with how it jumped. And it was scary though. It was just trusting, like, hey, I'm going to take this leap of faith. If I fail, but you don't learn unless you try. So I didn't want to look back a year later and say, but what if I would have jumped full time into real estate? Like, how would it have looked? I wanted to say, well, hey, I tried it, and it either worked tremendously or it didn't. And I'm just really grateful it was former.
Yeah. It's amazing. Just thinking back to that challenge from your husband, and what if you just stayed comfortable and unhappy, but you took that risk. Certainly was uncomfortable. But look where it's led you today. And I think you're much happier than you were before, Lauren. Oh, I don't know if we cut out there. Did we lose you, Lauren? Maybe we did. Dan, are you still there?
I'm here.
Awesome. Well, while we're reconnecting back to Lauren there, again, I heard the same thing from your story, that you were challenged by someone and it got you to the place where you are today. So why don't you share how you got into working for Willow Bend Mortgage and what that challenge was?
Yeah. So I spent the early part of my career in the mortgage industry. I was doing recruiting and strategic growth and turnover management, different markets, and working with a large lender. And I had the opportunity to get to know a lot of the top producers, not just in Dallas-Fort Worth, but in the industry overall. And I got to see how they operated their business, how they conducted themselves, and how they ran their businesses as individuals and as teams and as groups. And I helped with transitioning them. I learned a lot about the business in the first half of my mortgage career. And through that, I started seeing some gaps in leadership, some gaps in opportunity, especially from an age perspective. There's not a lot of youth in our business right now. It's an aging industry. And it was one of those situations where it was already pulling at my heart to go into production leadership, to produce myself, to have an opportunity to build something. And it was just something, like Lauren said, it was a situation where all the stars aligned and things pulled at my heart. And, as really said, it's like it's like you need major change in life. I feel like it's a God thing that pushes you to a certain direction. Cool. And I was at an event and it was filled with top producers, and the head coach that was at that event started talking to me about what I was doing, who I was. And he looks me in the eyes and goes, "You really need to be in production and producing." And the company I was with at the time, it was a great organization. I loved it. I could have spent the rest of my career there. They were not in line with allowing me to go into more of a production position. Okay. And so because I was successful in the role I was in, sure. And I think it was one of those deals where they didn't want to rock the boat too much. They had a lot of structure. The holding company was a large company, and Willow Bend's a locally based organization, small organization that needed to grow. And it was just kind of all the stars aligned for me to have an opportunity that allowed me to help lead and grow, continue to do the things that I had already honed skills in, and also build my production business. Right. And through that, it's just been an amazing transition over the past 4 years that has turned into the team that we have. And it's not.
Wow.
I'm a small piece of the total pie of our group, the one group at Willow Bend Mortgage, where we've got several of the top producers in the local market. And it's just a blessing to be able to see all that grow, see each of them grow individually, and just be a part of that overall.
Right. Well, it's no surprise to me, knowing these top agents and knowing you guys, that certainly top agents want to work with you guys and are working with you. And I definitely want to talk more about your team in a little bit, because your team certainly is unique and just amazing group of people like yourself. But you said you had learned some lessons, from that previous recruiting job in the mortgage industry that you had, just to running a good mortgage business, and that you've taken those lessons and you're using them today. What are some of those that you've applied, Dan?
Everything that we do should really be people first. We all run businesses. We all work very hard in what we do on a day-to-day basis, and we're successful as a result.
Right.
The people have to be first, and people don't leave companies; they leave leaders, they leave situations, and my focus has always been about the people and making the people first. Because if you pursue excellence and you do great things all the time, good things will follow that. And while that's a difficult pursuit and not always achievable to be perfect, if you pursue that excellence, you're going to come closer to it and work to be better every day. And as long as you're improving one step, one day at a time, and your team is experiencing that as well,
right?
The same examples across the board. It's a pretty neat thing to see.
Right. And going back to what you had said and we talked about earlier, it's important those that you surround yourself with. It's important the company that you keep. And I want to dive into that in a moment here. But Lauren and Dan, just to, again, go back to the challenge that both of you were given. Dan, you were challenged by that coach you said that told you needed to step up and run a group. And Lauren, you were challenged by your husband that you're unhappy. It's time to try something different. Perhaps there's some people watching right now who find themselves in an unhappy place, who are unsatisfied, with their job right now. What would be, perhaps you guys, maybe today you're the one that's going to be challenging them to step up, challenge them to try something different. What would you say to them today?
Lauren, do you want to start?
Sure. I would just say, if you're feeling unhappy, really dig in deep, spend some time with yourself and see what motivates you, what makes you passionate. I think that's kind of a basic question when people ask, well, what do you see next? What's next steps? But I think a lot of the time, people assume, oh, this great job is just, or this job title is going to come to mind. When a lot of the time it doesn't. It's, okay, what makes you passionate? Well, people make me passionate, and there's a lot of things I could do with people. And it was kind of a light bulb moment from the Lord that just excited me when I watched War Room, that showed me that, hey, real estate involves passion, involves people. I'm passionate about contract law, just things like that. And it just kind of fell into place. And so I'd say really dig down deep and see what drives you. And again, it might not be an exact job title yet, but you'll get there.
That's good. That's good. I love that. And even thinking back to what you said to me when we spoke recently, you're like, you won't miss what's made for you if you're going for it. So I love that. And what about you? What would be that challenge you would give to that person who perhaps finds themselves unsatisfied or unhappy?
When I was younger, I remember having a conversation with my dad one time, and he said, happiness is a mindset. You choose to be happy on a day-to-day basis. Wow. We get so driven by our circumstances and by things that are surrounding us and outside influence. If you're unhappy with whatever situation you're in, or if you're debating on whether or not to pursue an opportunity, you really, like Lauren said, you find your purpose, your passion, and if you find something that you're passionate about, you will never work another day of your life.
Good.
And that having the ability in our business, especially to run you can be an employee and run your own business. You can run your own company and have employees that work for you. In the real estate business overall, it's full of entrepreneurs and great people. And there's so much that you can learn from people on a day-to-day basis in our business. It's amazing. There's so much great information out there and so many great leaders. And betting on yourself, regardless of how much knowledge, how much experience you have, if you're willing to put in the time, energy, and effort, and I talked to my team about this yesterday, be really great at the basic and be repeatable. Do the same thing over and over and over again. And the more you pursue being great at the basic, the more opportunities you're going to have to excel when they present themselves, because you've got the basic down.
Wow, this is so good what you guys are sharing. I have to pause for a moment and speak to those that are listening. There might be someone in your sphere of influence that they need a challenge. They need to be challenged. And so I'm just going to encourage you right now, share the show. Because certainly I'm being inspired hearing from Dan and Lauren. And I know that there are other people that need to be hearing their words. So share the show, comment. We want to hear from you. How are you being challenged? Or if you're listening and you've been challenged by someone and it's caused a career change or another change in your life, please share it. I think that there's just so much wisdom we can glean from each other, and also just to be inspired. Just going back to London's question, which now I'm thinking here, sorry, London, I didn't really answer your question. But he had asked, how did you end up working at Real Producers? I did mention that a gal in the top 500, Heidi Marsh, shout out to you, passed along my resume to Jordan. But really, it originated from a challenge from my dad, who knew that I needed a change. It was a season change, and my dad challenged me. Kind of like Dan, what that coach challenged you. He challenged me to step up and do something different. And he really felt I was supposed to move to Dallas. For those of you that don't know, I was out in the country somewhere. But now I'm in the Dallas area. And it's awesome. I love what you both said. Things just aligned. Timing wise. Lauren, in your story, you said what? 7 of the 9 of your best friends decided to move or something on the year that you decided to go full time? Oh, we can't hear you.
Sorry. I have a group of 9 of us from high school where we're all best friends, and it just so happened, and I promise I did not know this whenever I leaped full time, that 7 of them ended up buying houses the first year I went full time. So
wow,
that was so neat that some of my first clients were some of my best friends who have just referred me so much business. And it's something I'll always treasure for sure.
Super special. And Dan, I know you were saying things just align. So again, speaking to those of you that are listening, just encourage you to take that leap of faith, rise to the challenge, and who knows what will align timing wise. And I love what you said, Lauren. You don't want to live with the what if with regret that I didn't try. I mean, if you tried, you will not have that. And that's a win in itself. But what if, think more positively, like what if things happen? What if you're happy? What if you're satisfied? I mean, who knows? I think it's a risk. It's too much of a risk not to take, the other side.
Absolutely.
And I'll throw in, when you take those risks, like don't ever give up when it gets hard.
Good.
Because Lauren will probably attest to this, is every time you think, oh man, business is slowing down, things are bad, all of a sudden it's like, everything blows up all at once and it's all great and it's, things happen. So just stay the course, stay the path, and keep working hard, and things will come together.
What?
Hey, real quick, Rachelle, I want to jump in on what Dan just said, because when we first started The Difference, and I've been an entrepreneur for almost 30 years, and we always see everybody's highlight reel on social media, right? Everything's perfect. Everything's great. The pina coladas and the beach is awesome. We never see the struggles. And I had someone after one of our shows, and this is when it hit me, and this is where my passion began for doing this. He said, I've been pushing now for just about 2 years, and I was just about ready to quit. I just felt like that everybody else was succeeding and I couldn't get it right. And he said, I saw the show, I saw the guy's story, and I decided I'm not giving up today. I'm going to give it 2 more weeks. And he said, I got the biggest contract I ever got.
Wow.
And everything changed. And that's why I love the shows that we do. And Dan, you and Lauren sharing your story.
Right.
Because we need to see that what real life is all about, that it's a challenge. But like you said, Dan, push one more day.
Right.
Just one more day.
100%.
And hard work, like hearing both of your stories, and even the stories again that I hear weekly from top agents. They didn't just make it to where they are, the majority of them, you know, being in that top 1% to 2%, it wasn't just a breeze. It took a lot of hard work. And Lauren, I'm just remembering here, you know, I have it here. How long did it take you to sell that first house?
I think it was 6 months. 6 months in.
Months of hard work, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hard work. But keep working hard at what's presented to you. And like you said, Lauren, you won't miss. You won't miss.
Absolutely.
What you're made.
And I think too, also going in with the mindset of, you know, it's not just about worldly success, or even, you know, if you're in one of the top, you know, 1% to 2%, that's amazing. But I think it's just focusing on, again, like what you're saying, what's been given to you, what's in front of you, and saying, hey, success for me is going to be helping my people, helping whoever comes my way, and doing it the best I can, and always learning. So I think that's a huge thing too with starting something new. You don't need to expect yourself to do, you know, $5 million in production your first year. And what does success look like to you?
Right. Now, Dan, I think another key here with going along with what you said about hard work and what you said, Lauren, about having the proper mindset, again, goes back to what we've been saying here. It's important, the voices, the team that you surround yourself with. I want to talk a little bit about your team. It's very unique. Like you said, you're not necessarily casting the net wide. You're very selective with who is a part of Willow Bend Mortgage. And I think that goes to the success that you guys have had today. Why don't you share about this team and the average age of your office, which is not the norm, right? In mortgage companies.
Yeah. We're very fortunate to have a crew that has less experience than most in the mortgage business, but we are still very experienced. You know, the average age is in the mid to late 30s. They all have, you know, 8 to 10 years of experience in the business. And every single producer on our team would be a top producer at any organization that they went to. And we built a unique model to where we have a very full, abundant mindset. So we operate from abundance all the time. It's not your traditional plant your flag. We're only going to work with these accounts. You have no options. If one of our clients gets referred to somebody else's realtor, it's not that typical back and forth. You know, we all just work together, and we're more successful together. We help each other. We run scenarios by each other, and you know, it's really a servant mindset to each other, which I think is one of the most unique things about our group, is that we all help each other grow and improve. And when you surround yourself with others that have that same mindset, that want to improve as a team and as a whole, and they trust each other greater than, you know, it's not the me mindset. We say we before me always. And it's pretty unique. You know, we've got 8 of the best originators in DFW that have come together. We've recently added 2 from a large lender, and they'll be getting involved with us. And
awesome.
You know, we're up to 3 locations locally with our team, and they're all building out their teams and setting the same example for future generations. And you know, we want to grow and train new people to the business. We want to build a future generation of lending in DFW, and do it with people with the mindset that they're going to be service first, that they're going to be of an abundance mindset, and that it's all about the people that we serve and making their lives better for being a part of it.
Right. I love it. I love how you described Willow Bend to me. It's a local company with a high service, high touch. And I remember Chad, shout out to Chad there if he's watching.
Who I'm grateful for, my business partner. He's very awesome, man.
Yeah, you have a great team. It's a local home team, and you guys started actually in Plano 27 years ago. But I want to go back to just what you're describing about your team there, Dan. And again, for people who don't know, the average age, I think, in a mortgage company is like 50 something average, isn't it, Dan? And again, you guys are like 30, 35, late 30s there. Lauren, what is that like for you, connecting in with this group and connecting in with others that are more so around your age as well?
No, it's been awesome. I think number one, because relationally, they're not just there to, help you buy your house. It's always, well, how can we make the most seamless process? And we want you to understand what you're doing, right? So I work with a ton of first-time home buyers, and Dan and his team have been so wonderful with that, because first-time home buyers, they have a lot of questions, and we've talked about how, it's never a burden to answer any questions. They are there to just not only, again, help them through the process, but help them understand the process. Because especially when it comes to the mortgage side, it can be scary. Usually people are about to spend the most money they've ever spent in their life. And so they are very good about, walking them through each step. And just as an agent side, someone is always there when needed. And something I love about Dan and his team is, when you work with a lender, we're busy. We have multiple things going on. And if Dan's unavailable, I know I can call someone on his team and they automatically know what I'm talking about. I don't have to sit there and explain a situation. They're like, oh, yes, I got you. And just as an agent, I can't tell you, one, how secured that makes you feel, knowing that everyone's involved with your client and everyone knows what's going on. But two, just the time saver of that. Knowing that, okay, we're all in this together. You guys really do all know what's going on. And it just, again, helps me so much serve our clients better.
Love it. And I'm sure another thing that's been huge for you, especially in today's market, Lauren, is that Willow Bend, going back to Chad again here, he says something that's rare, with a mortgage company is that, it's economical and they're fast and they're good. And you guys encompass all three, Dan. How important is that to you in today's market, Lauren, especially the word fast?
Essential. I'm sure you guys have seen all the videos of people joking about the real estate market that, someone sends you this house and 2 minutes later it's gone. Well, that's very accurate. So having Dan that I can call, we have to make aggressive offers for our clients, and we treat ours, again, very relationally. And so I am always needing to be on the same page with my lender saying, hey, can I be this aggressive in the offer? And so having Dan and his team be like, yes, we got it. Don't even worry about it. It's huge. And knowing that they don't just say that. There are plenty of lenders out there that say that and they can't follow through. We're pushing closing back. Dan and his team is always on it. And I know that with comfortability. When Dan texts me, yep, we can do it, go ahead, then I'm like, great, we got it. So it's allowed Dan and I to win a crazy amount of multiple offer situations this year, honestly.
So Dan, how do you be fast and good? Because usually people are sacrificing one or the other. But I know, again, at Willow Bend Mortgage, that is not the case there. What would you say to some other people in the business?
It's there's that old saying, like, good, fast, cheap. You can pick 2 out of the 3, but you're never going to get all 3. And we strive to do all 3 as well as we can. And a lot of that comes from our support staff. We have one of the best support staffs in the business. Our team is amazing. We have our own operations team, so that helps us a lot in being expedient. But we also slow down and speed up. We do a lot of work on the front end to make sure that we can be competitive with a cash offer.
Right.
That close quickly. And so by us doing the work on the front end and explaining to clients, and again, like Lauren said, taking the more consultative approach with our customers, we're able to set up everybody in a position to be more successful. And through that, it's created a reputation locally from our team into the market where there's trust for us to perform. Now, there's things in our business that go wrong all the time. And I think one of the things that we have to be great at is navigating when those things happen and making sure we address it quickly, we communicate it quickly, and that we take a team mindset. So like Lauren said, the relationship is so key right now between the realtor and lender, because it is more involved than it ever has been.
Huge.
We may be writing 25 offers before we get a home under contract. And then making sure that that goes to fruition and closes is a whole nother piece. So slowing down to speed up is a big part of what we do.
Wow. Now, Dan, I know a lot of people in the industry look to you, like Lauren, for tactics about what's going on in the market. Why don't you speak to that right now?
Tactics of what's going on in the business is everybody is trying to do something different to kind of separate themselves from real estate side, from a lending side. You know, there's companies out there that are doing light cash offers. There's people that are, only taking cash offers. And so everybody's got a little bit of a difference of opinion. But one of the things that's been really successful for us is by doing the work up front and doing full pre-approvals, and also checking on whether or not somebody can do an appraisal waiver up front, so whether or not somebody can, whether or not we can close somebody in a short time frame, and then communicating on the other side to the listing agents and being involved there and doing the little things. You know, I had one listing agent the other day tell me, hey, that cute little letter with the family doesn't really matter anymore. You know, so it's unfortunately that's where we're at in the market, because the inventory is where it is. So we are having to go outside the box on a lot of the things that we do and be creative every day. And that's validating every document that we need in order to close the transaction, so that we can make sure that, hey, if there's an appraisal shortage, that we can come up with a cash difference, that we can use different programs and products. Can we cover something with the second lien? Up to what percentage? You know, there's a lot of crazy unique things that people are doing right now. And really, we can't reinvent the wheel in a short amount of time.
Right.
And so we just have to keep doing, like I said, keep doing the basics, doing it right, doing it up front, and things are going to come to fruition. And we got to put trust back into the mortgage side of things. And first-time home buyers are at the hardest point that they've ever been in the market right now, because that price point is flush with cash investors. It's very competitive because we have more millennials trying to buy homes now than there ever have been. We've got limited inventory. So all that stuff stacked together has just been really difficult on the market altogether. Plus appraisals being short and not making value. So it's like this perfect storm going on in the real estate market right now. And it's going to take all of us working together to kind of impact that and get back to the basics and business as normal. So it's everybody from the real estate agents to the homeowners to the appraisers to the lenders. It's going to be up to us to get back to a more normalized market. And people are going to have to quit being afraid to list their house too, because if you're not listing your house, there's not somebody who can buy it on the other side for you to go buy another one. So
Lauren's like, amen.
Seriously, it's so true.
Lauren, Lendon, any questions you guys have for Dan regarding tactics in this market today?
No, I don't have any. I really appreciated all that Dan and Lauren have said. And just in building your team and you know, the way that you're approaching the market today, I think all of that is very important. You can definitely tell that they're relational over transactional.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Lauren, did you have a question?
It wasn't a question, but I was just going to kind of speak to Dan and then our relationship, but just, I mean, kind of how we just talked about how relational, you know, is so important in this market. And I really can't stress that enough, especially with buyers having to make crazy aggressive offers. And you have to make sure that you have an agent and lender partner that care. You know, we could write aggressive offers all day and it could put our clients in really bad situations. And something that Dan and I put forth foremost is we want to treat people how we want to treat other people how we want to be treated. And with that being huge, that like we are not going to make aggressive offers that could cost our clients. They could be out a lot of money and not get home. So it's that fine line of being just aggressive enough, but not putting our clients in really bad situations. And I would just say, I think that's led to a lot of our success in this market as well.
Huge. People know then you care about them. And I remember that you just stressing to me, Lauren, like just how it's so important to you living life by the golden rule. And Dan as well, like your mission statement for your life, I have to say, is so inspiring. Why don't you share that? I think it just goes right along with what Lauren is saying.
Yeah. So my personal mission statement is to make the lives better of everybody that I have the opportunity to be in their lives. So if I have the opportunity to be in somebody's life, my job and my sole purpose is to make their life better for being a part of it.
That's so good.
That's awesome.
I see it happening with both of you. Now, Dan, you've also said that you're big on deepening relationships through the good times, but also the hard ones, the hard times. How do you do that?
I think it's just through how you treat each other and how you communicate. Like you said, the golden rule is always important. Treat others like you want to be treated, but it's also, being able to give people feedback when they don't want to hear it and when it's unpopular sometimes too. You got to be able to, if you really care about somebody and love somebody, you have just as much responsibility to give them the hard advice as you do the good advice. I think that so many times we get into the pump up culture where it's like, everything's great, everything's awesome. Like Lyndon was saying earlier about, like, you see the grade on social media, but you also got to be able to call people out in hard situations and be able to receive that yourself as well when it happens.
I've got a quick question for you and Lauren both. You mentioned earlier, and being in mortgage, it's been 20 years ago. It was before the big real estate crash in 2008. So I was in when it was completely different world. But you talked about how things are going to go wrong. I mean, no matter how good you are, no matter how experienced you are, things are going to go wrong. And I've always said that when I partner with someone, I want to know that they've got a great fix-it strategy and that I have a great fix-it strategy, right? That's important. The thing that I want to ask both of you, one of the things that I've learned, how much of a difference does it make when you have a great relationship with the person that you're working with, as well as the client that you're working for? I mean, that gives us a lot of, I'm not going to say flexibility, but when the relationship is there, there's a lot more understanding. If you go into it in a transactional approach, people have a lot less patience and tolerance for any mistakes that are made. So how important is that to both of y'all?
I mean, I can go first, but I mean, it's essential. Dan and I have been in some situations this year that I guarantee a lot of people would have thrown in the towel and just said, you know what, my client's going to lose the earnest money and it stinks for them, but it's just the market. Where Dan and I both approach is, no, like, this is our client's money. They will get this house. We will make it work out. And we've never had a situation not work out. So it's absolutely essential because, especially, being in the mortgage and real estate industry, you're expected to know a little bit about both. But in actuality, Dan, lending is all in Dan's hands. So I have to have someone that knows the ins and outs of it. And that, because again, like you said, mistakes will happen, but is going to fix them. And Dan and I are always open and honest with our communication of, hey, there's something going on right here, but don't worry, we're going to get it fixed. And here's how we're going to do it. And thankfully it's always worked out for us.
Great.
Yeah. The mentality that we both have is not there's the can't versus won't, that mindset. And can't is never an option, or won't is never an option. Can't is. And we've always been able to, we won't accept no for an answer. So we're always going to be trying to push and figure out a way. And doing what's best for the client doesn't mean that it's us closing the deal personally. It's finding a referral out for another option or finding a way to get something done. It's not always about this deal. It's about everything. It's about the person. It's about, we always say families, not files. These are real people that we are trying to help. change their lives, because home ownership is the number one path to financial freedom and financial growth in our country, and it's the American dream. And so when you have the approach and mindset, that the approach and mindset that you're helping somebody live out the American dream, and part of what makes our country great, you don't accept no, or you don't just let something slide. You push and you figure it out, and you work hard for everybody.
That's awesome.
Whether it's a huge loan, a small loan, I mean, the most rewarding ones are the hardest ones, because nobody appreciates the fact that they're getting to buy their first house, or that they're able to change their finances completely because of what they've done on their in their mortgage options or their home purchase options. So
absolutely
good stuff.
Well, and this is silly, but I had to get this, so I don't know if you can read it. I'm trying to get it in the frame, but so I was on the phone with Dan, and I saw this, and it says everything is figure outable, and I literally bought this, and I was like, Dan, this is us working together. Like, everything is figure outable. We find a way to get it done, and we always do. And so I have that reminder in my office now.
I love it. Wow, it is so good. It is good stuff, like you said, Lendon. What you both have been sharing, I hear keys to success, just evident in both who you are, being relational, like we talked about. Love that. Family first, people first, living by the golden rule, service. I'm hearing a lot about hard work, accepting the challenge, approaching business with an abundance mindset. So many just good keys that you guys have shared today. And I know people are watching, just being inspired, challenged, but I also know people are watching saying, I want Dan and Lauren on my team.
Right.
And just wow, hearing how you guys work together as a team, hearing how you work, Dan, with your team. I mean, I'm just like, you all are incredible. So how do people get in touch with you? Lauren, let's start with you first. If there's some people that want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
So I do a lot on Instagram. So I put my business Instagram at the bottom, and it's Lauren and Natalie Sell Dallas. So definitely look us up on Instagram. My personal is Lauren and Rockwell. I do a little bit of business there, but have the other one mainly focused on it. And then my email is lauren.rockwell@compass.com. So feel free to reach out anytime. We'd love to be a part of your team as well.
Awesome. Dan, what about you?
My website's got all my contact information on it, and that's www.applywithcarson.com. My last name Carson, so applywithcarson.com. And then on social media, Instagram is the best place. And my business page is Carson Group Mortgage, and then my personal page is DFW Dan. So that's a long story, and I also who reaches out.
DFW Dan?
Yeah, DFDUBDAN. So either go to Apply with Carson, or you can reach out to me on either one of those social media sites. And I'd love to hear from you guys. And Lauren and I are great partners and we'd love to help you together as well.
Rachelle, when you get Dan back on, we're gonna have to dig deep into that DFW Dan thing.
Right.
So.
Yeah, we're gonna have to hear the story behind that one. But oh my goodness, you guys, thank you for sharing your stories with us today. Super inspiring. Again, just hearing of the challenge, hearing of where you were before and where you guys are today. Again, in that top 1 to 2% for DFW real estate. Dan, mortgage side, Lauren, real estate agent. Again, thank you. Thank you for sharing. And just loved having you on the show. Loved seeing you guys at the last Dallas Real Producers event. Looking forward to some more good times at those. But speaking of those watching, if you want to connect into Real Producers, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram. Specifically, this podcast is for Dallas Real Producers. Did I lose you, Lendon?
No, I'm here. I'm still here.
All right.
I was just giving you the spotlight.
All right. Awesome.
So, all right. Well, great show, everybody. Dan, Lauren, thank you for being a part of it.
Thank you for having us.
And if you guys will hang on after we go off air, I'd like to to invite you to one of our private groups that we have. Would love to have you as a guest again sometime. So stick with us on that. And Rachelle, I guess I'll let you close us out.
All right, sounds good. And we just also want to thank all of our RP vetted businesses, a part of Real Producers. For those of you that are top 500 agents in the DFW area, you guys know you get your exclusive Real Producers magazine that just gets sent out to those of you in the top 1% to 2%. In the beginning of that magazine, you will see our RP vetted businesses, that we don't just partner with any business that comes on by. Like you heard from Dan, like you heard from Lauren, we're also selective. We're about connecting the best of the best. And so you will see a list there. And thank you for all of those, again, business partners. You guys are what makes this happen. So thank you. Thank you to our agents and those of you that are watching. DFW's Real Estate Best happens every Wednesday, 11 a.m. And I think Lance will be hosting next week. I'll be back on in a couple of weeks. And we look forward to it. Again, share, like, comment on the show. We want to hear from you. And yeah, thanks again for tuning in.